cheerleaders who I believe I saw in swarmy conditions, like they are here in Palm Beach. Before this season, you had your first season as a GM. If you had to take one snapshot to put in a photo frame of the part of this incredible season you're most proud of, what does it look like?
One snapshot of this season. I think it's just our team celebrating together, just the guys that we have and just how close they were and everything, just seeing those guys in the locker room after a win. If I could take one snapshot of a locker room after a win, that would be it.
Back then when I saw you in August, I really did. I told this to everybody. I knew you guys were going to have a great season. Did it meet your expectations? Did you think then, like, yeah, we're going to go to the NFC Championship? What was the goal even?
The goal, I think you're not doing this right if your goal isn't to win a Super Bowl every year. So yeah, our goal is always to win the Super Bowl, but to see how quickly we came together as a team, how Coach Quinn did a great job of bringing everybody together, a brotherhood, and that's, I think, really what propelled us, and we hit some adversity during the year, but the guys stuck together, and so to have the run that we had at the end of the season, I think we won 7 games in a row before Philly beat us. So that was really cool. Really proud of that. Really proud of the guys.
Last offseason, I loved the foundational pieces. Now you're entering your second year as a GM. I love that Jaden, Offensive Rookie of the Year, you're like, let's protect him. I mean, Laramie Tunsil, you dog you at him. That is a great swing.
Yeah, we're really excited about him. He said it when he was in his press conference. He wants to be his bodyguard, and so yeah, we needed to, really just protect Jaden, and I think that's something we set out to do. And when he became available, and it wasn't cheap, he's a great player, and but we wanted to do that. And those guys are hard to find. They're really hard to find. So when we had that opportunity, we wanted to do it, and we heard great things about him from people we knew in Houston, the type of person he was, the type of man that he was, and you can see how great of a player he's on tape. So when we had that opportunity, we definitely wanted to take it.
When you take him from Stroud had a sophomore season where there's a million philosophies. They didn't protect him. There was tape on him. Do you subscribe to that? Do you study that with Jaden and how to protect him and bring in guys like Debo?
Yeah, I mean, we're doing everything we can to protect Jaden, and strengthen our offensive line, but also, like you said, just with Debo, giving him weapons, so you can get the ball out of his hands and have those guys make plays. And getting Debo, and I know he's near and dear to you too. He's an incredible competitor. He's an incredible dude. We wouldn't have brought him in if we didn't think all those things. If we didn't know what a great teammate he was, what a great competitor he was, and obviously he's outstanding on the field. I've been around doing this a long time, and there's not too many guys I know that can lift a team on the field more than Debo with his competitive greatness and like put a team on his back and will you to win games. And I've seen that over and over against he just did with Les, like he did it against the Rams a few times, Eagles. So
yeah, take that, Les.
But so to get a chance to get him is something we really wanted to do, and he'll be great for Cliff's offense.
XO-wise, talk to me about can you tell me how Debo will make Jaden better?
Anytime you can surround any quarterback with a weapon, that where they can do the work, they can really make a play out of nothing. That makes anybody better. But I think the way Cliff's offense is run, you can get a catch and run guy like Debo, and he can play in the backfield, he can play in the slot, he can play outside, he can go deep, but he can also do a lot of screens. So those things just open up the offense and allow us to be more multiple in offense.
What are you most proud of from this year?
Most proud of? That's a great question.
Y'all never stop to think about what you're proud of. It's crazy. That's like my role in this business. Like, what are you most proud of? There's a long list. It is a tough question.
It is a tough question. There's so many things. I think really just, if I really think about it, just bringing back the pride to the Washington fan base and seeing how excited our fans were. And, as the year went on, especially when we got flexed to that Sunday night game against the Falcons and having the whole nation see that, and having our home crowd was just incredible that game. So really proud of that, and just having, walking around DC, just having people come up to me and just say, like, thank you so much for, bringing back, this team that the former Redskins, and some pride to the area. So
you hear from Kevin Durant at all?
Yeah, he's awesome.
What's that like? How active is he?
He is so big. You don't realize how big he is. I look like a Smurf next to him.
Oh, you look like me around everybody else. Great. Now you know what it feels like.
But he's awesome. He's a great supporter. He comes when he can. Obviously, he's doing great at his job. But when he's able to come out, we practice in Arizona right before we played the Cardinals. He was able to come out to a practice and got to see him there throw the ball. He's a really good athlete too. He can run. I was surprised.
Kevin Durant, good athlete.
And he
That's
can
some
throw.
real GM sleuthing there, Adam.
Newsflash.
Newsflash.
But yeah, he can throw too. It's really hard to throw a football, and he can throw it pretty good.
He can throw?
Yeah, he can throw like 50 yards. No warm up.
No, he can't.
Yes.
I mean, not that no, he
Saw
can't.
it.
What do I know?
My own two eyes.
With your own two eyes at a practice. I love that. I'm sure, as you're saying, the Commanders fan base, thankful, whatever, you got a nice watch on. Is it about time to get the Terry deal done? Where are we at?
Ooh, good question.
Where are we on the Terry
We love
clock?
Terry. Love Terry, and we've had some really good conversations with his representatives. We're going to keep those in-house, Kay. That's what Sean told me to say.
I'm reading the body language, though. I don't know how. You're feeling good. It's trending in a positive
But
direction.
we really, we want to make Terry a commander for a long time.
Where are you picking?
29.
29. I want you to take a running back. How do you feel about that?
In the first round?
Yeah.
Yeah. People used to say that wasn't a good thing, but no, you.
Oh, were you trying to get me off the scent there?
Yeah.
Is that what you're planning to do, but you don't want? No?
No, but I think what we did with free agency, we can take anybody at 29, which is we have some optionality there. So, really best player available.
Last one.
Boring, right? But
yeah. How big of a recruiting tool is Jaden Daniels? Because from my perspective, as just a fan and someone who talks to players on television, they all love him.
Yeah.
They all want to play with him. Like, how key is he?
It's huge. It's huge. It was like last year when we hired DQ. All these players wanted to go play for him.
Yeah.
All these coaches wanted to go coach with him. And now getting a great quarterback like Jaden, a great young quarterback who's not just a great quarterback, but a great person that people want to be around, that people want to play with.
Slam dunk.
I know, it's great. So you get a guy like Debo because of that. You get a guy like LT because of that want to come and play for us. So it makes our jobs a lot easier.
I'm just going to say, last one for you. The Yankees, bats, or the tush push. One has to go.
I just started reading about the Yankees bats. That's pretty cool. They got like a rocket scientist or something doing that.
I don't freaking know.
So
but I know it all seems.
I'll go with the Yankees
stinks.
bats.
Yeah, we're gonna get rid of those.
We gotta stop that tush push.
There we go. You're gonna keep the Yankees bats.
No, we're gonna get rid of the Yankees bats, and then we're gonna stop the tush push.
Okay,
no, we're gonna try to at least. It's really hard to.
Got to. Eagles schmeagles. All right, we'll be back after this. Here with Super Bowl champion GM Jason Licht. He doesn't have his ring. I would have mine. And you say it's too heavy. Where you got that bad boy?
I keep that in the house.
When's the last time you looked at it?
Actually, usually when we have guests come over, we had some friends in town, and then you have to get it out and then go down memory lane, show them pictures, the trophy, the whole thing. So.
Show and tell a little bit.
Yeah, show and tell.
Why not? What a conversation piece that is. You're talking about celebration in the boat, so of course I think about Tom Brady, I think of the boats. What is this end of free agency boat party that you have? Take me inside that invite.
That started last year when we had, Levante, Baker, Mike, Antoine, Tristan, all these guys that we needed to do. 4 of them are on huge posters on the side of our stadium, and they were about to walk into free agency. So I said, if we can get all these guys done, we should have another boat parade. And
that's amazing.
So we did, and I took the people in the front office, a lot of them, we rented a boat and drove around in Tampa. Actually got some free agent deals done while we were on the boat, yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, we signed Ben Bredesen last year. We got the deal done while we were on the boat. So
you're step into my office, the
not
cabin?
with the player, but I have Mike Greenberg, Jackie Davidson with me, and they were talking to agents while we were on the boat. So I said, we got to do it again this year when we got done, and but we have to sign one player while we're on there. So, I got re-signed Sterling Shepard while I was on the boat.
This is a boat trick that you have, Mr. Light.
Right.
I love this.
Yeah.
You mentioned Levante David. I'm not ready to live in a world where he's not in the league. Can we just keep him forever?
I hope so. I mean, he's the face of our organization in terms of the type of player, but also the type of person that we want. It's phenomenal.
You're picking at what, 19?
19, yeah.
A lot of talk about looking for that Levante David replacement, which to me is like a sign that you guys are right there. That's like a embarrassment of riches, rich people problem pick, no?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways we could go. We feel good about Levante, and we feel good about Sebastian Dennis too. So we're excited about our linebacker core.
I had a bingo card for GMs and There's a lot of ways
A lot
we
of ways
can
we
go.
can go.
We're evaluating everything.
We might go up. We might move back. We'll look into everything.
What's important to you at this point in your career?
Winning another Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right there.
I talk about it a lot with my kids. They were younger. They all remember it. But my youngest is 11 now, so he has vague memories of it. But I want them all to experience that, now. Again, obviously multiple times, but yeah, it's just a special moment for us.
It's amazing. I gotta say, everything about the Buccaneers I like. I hope you hear some of the things that I'm such a champion of what you're doing, Coach Bowles, Baker Mayfield. I love Baker Mayfield. Top to bottom, it's great. And I don't think you get enough credit, and I have it right here. 5 straight years in the playoffs. Longest streak in the NFC. You do not get enough credit for that, Jason.
Appreciate it. Well, we got great players. We've named a bunch of them here. Baker's phenomenal. Baker, a lot of these players want to come back because of the culture. Todd does an amazing job. We have a great locker room, but they want to play. They want to play with Baker too. So
yeah, my producer saw this floating around. I actually talked to Dave Canales, of course, who spent time with Baker, about the kind of guy he was earlier today. I would like to know about his relationship with his offensive coordinator, because there has been a lot. There's, him and his new guy. How is that vibing?
Awesome. They got along great last year. When Liam left, I talked to Baker. I know Todd talked to Baker. Baker had all the faith in the world with Grizz, our new offensive coordinator, and he's an awesome dude. He's very sharp, very smart, very innovative. Hopefully we don't lose him next year to a head coaching job.
You might move up, you might move down. We don't know what you're going to do, but what is sort of the itch that you have position group wise that you'd like to improve, whether it's through free agency, the draft?
Well, we brought our entire offense back. I'm not saying that we wouldn't add to it, but we want to. Our defense needs to improve. We all see that. We had some issues last year from injuries, so we could always use depth. It's another GM-ism there.
I know. I'm trying to get you out of those, but you're doing a great job here.
But the defensive, we're putting a little extra focus on defense.
Yeah, you have this great track record of keeping players in Tampa and sort of prioritizing keeping your core together. A perfect example of that is like the poster boy for incredible wide receiver, and you have a bunch of them in Chris Godwin. What does it say about the culture, top to bottom, that these guys want to be back there, that they want to be a part of the Buccaneers?
Well, like I said a second ago, it starts with our head coach. We have a great culture. We've drafted phenomenal and signed phenomenal people. But everybody if we didn't have a good quarterback, these receivers wouldn't want to come back. And a quarterback that they want to play with.
Let's go.
So, you have to give him all the credit that we can for doing his part to keep these guys.
Draft day. I want to know the snacks. Tell me the snacks, Jason. What are you eating? What are the must-haves? What's on Jason Light's rider?
So, they know we got to have wings.
Okay.
Okay, and we
now
do.
That's risk. That's sloppy. There's a lot to that.
Yeah, we have a buffet.
Okay.
And got to have some pizza. Got to have barbecue. All the bad food that you can think of. It's just I don't want any healthy stuff on draft day. So. Are
you the calmest on draft day and more nerve-wracking going into it? Is it a calm, or is it that is the day primetime lights are shining?
I actually have a calmness on draft day. I don't know what happens. I get we do the normal stressors leading up to it, but on draft day it's kind of feel like everything's done and we know what we're going to do and we have a plan if this happens, if this happens, if this happens. So I actually spend the morning taking my dog for a walk, my wife, hanging out in the backyard for a little bit. It's not what everybody thinks. The phone calls are being made, they've been made, or they start a couple hours before the draft. It's pretty relaxing.
Favorite day of the year?
Oh yeah, well, one of them, yeah.
One of them, or winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Bowl Parade Day was by far the best day ever in my life.
What did we
My
not
wife would
see?
say the same thing.
We started with a boat. Well, let's end with a boat. We saw Tom, we saw Gronk. What did we not see on that boat? Don't tell me you did a deal on that Super Bowl boat.
No, we did not. You did not see on my boat Bruce and Tom Moore smoking about 10 cigars and just taking it all in. Yeah.
Well deserved.
Yeah.
And let's manifest that And
No
next
doubt.
time I see you, let's have another Super Bowl ring to not have on your finger.
Oh, let's do it.
We appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Light. I'm here with my favorite story of the NFL last year. Dave Canales, these Carolina Panthers, you took risks. You made decisions that ultimately led to, honestly, what I do think was the most easy to root for team and storyline, especially the second half of the season. How are you feeling as you look back on it now, months from the season's ending?
I'm feeling really proud about the work it took, the whole group, just trying to stay committed. And you know what it's like. I mean, you see teams that, go through hard times, trials, and things like that, and it can do two things. It can either galvanize you or it can tear you apart. And I saw guys just come together, keep working, attack Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, and that was the goal, is let's establish a play style that we can get used to, that we can be proud of, and that's really what I look back and I'm most proud of.
Last time you came on the show, you hadn't even had a game yet as the head coach. As you look back at it now, did it meet the expectation that you had? I mean, it was quite a journey.
Yeah, I mean, all that and more. I think, I got to give a shout out to Todd Bowles. He said, hey, 5 things you can't anticipate every day. It's going to come up. And so I think that was the part that really, took me by surprise, is how connected a head coach is to every area, all the way from the weight room all the way to the cafeteria, and especially all of the, meeting rooms and all that. Is like, you're so connected to it, you're going to hear the stories. There's great stories, there's celebrations, there's new life, there's new beginnings, and there's also people that are going through hard things and losing loved ones. And so being connected to the whole thing, I think, was something that I really enjoyed, but I didn't anticipate how heavy that was going to be.
You're not the new guy in the division anymore. Just like that, you have one season, and now Kellen Moore is the new guy. What would you tell him as you see him here at the owners' meetings, whether it's advice or if you could tell him one thing about what makes this division and being a head coach in it unique?
I would tell him, first and foremost, you're going to get it done. That doesn't seem like there's enough time in the day to do what you need to, but you'll figure it out. You're going to find a way, and there's always going to be enough time. And use your help. Use the people that are smarter than you in different areas to really be a support for you that way. So I would encourage him with that.
I don't know what your expectations were, people's expectations were. It was not, I'm sure, going the way that you wanted it to, with the talent that I know that you have with this team. Then the benching of Bryce Young happens. Huge risk.
Right.
I was like, I don't know. Why did you know that was the move?
I just wanted to make sure I was making the right decision for everybody involved. And so if I'm going to ask our players, our team, to give everything they have, and I got to look at the whole situation and say, this gives us the best chance to win this week. And I wanted to create that weekly mindset, because I know how important that is. I've been on great teams in Seattle, and this year for sure has been the hardest year of my coaching career in terms of just, finding a way to win. And I know that what works in both settings is that you approach every week like its own. You take every day and you try to win that day. And if I was going to preach that, I knew I had to make that decision for the whole group.
What did you notice from, he seems, just body language-wise and as a fan, he was more confident after. What happened? What clicked?
He just really took the challenge, and he worked. I have to give Bryce all the credit. He just, every day he came in there, he studied, he worked, he encouraged, he never stopped leading the whole time. He was in front talking to the guys, fist bumping everybody coming into the locker room at halftime, working the sidelines, supporting Andy while he was out there. And so when Bryce got back out there on the field, it was like the leadership part was seamless. And all of a sudden you had a guy that was out to prove something. And for me to watch that, I just felt so much confidence in him being out there saying, look, I'm going to show you, coach, I'm the guy, and this is my team. And he certainly sent a message to me, and it was easy to just continue to build it and make the offense fit what he does well.
You guys gave the Chiefs hell, right? I remember that game. I loved watching it. I remember I was in the Bahamas babysitting my nieces, but I was watching and so excited about the fight that this team had. Now you have a year under your belt. What is the focus? If you were to have like a mantra for your second year as a coach, what would that be?
Yeah, I think it's play style. We have a young core group of guys. We were able to sign JC to a long contract, Derek Brown last year, Chuba Hubbard during the season, of course, Bryce, and adding a couple of free agents, average age of about 25. So this is a very young core group, and I want to just make sure that I set up a foundation where they can capture the play style that we're looking for, and they can own it. It's most powerful when it comes from those guys, when it comes from the locker room and they hold each other accountable on the field. But this year is just about making sure I prove it to the guys again. When we play good ball, you talked about the Chiefs game. if we play good football, we take care of it, and situationally we make good decisions, we can play with anybody. We can win any game, and we got to have that kind of belief going into this season.
8th overall pick. You mentioned J.C. Horn. Dan Morgan's a defensive guy. You're an offensive guy. Tell me about the dynamic. What's the negotiation there?
Yeah, I think to be in this position, you know, in my mind, when you have an opportunity to pick in the top 10 of the draft, we're doing all the work on making sure that we had identified the best available player. We've had some great conversations about some offensive playmakers in this class, some defensive playmakers, and we come away with it saying, okay, look, we are going to get a great player. Let's make sure we have the right guy, the right fit, somebody that we want to be a Panther for a long time. So that's really where our conversations are.
Coach, you didn't give me anything there. You got to give me something. What is there? Come on. Lean one way or the other. What'd you say?
Wide receiver?
Yeah, wide receiver. It sounds like you're getting a wide receiver.
There's some dynamic wide receivers out there. You know, Bryce certainly will take advantage of that.
I look at this and I'm like, 7 touchdowns, no interceptions over his last 3 games. Like, I wish this season didn't end when it did, you know?
Yeah.
Give me, like, this is your second owners meeting, my first one. Why is it so special? It really feels like there's a special laid back energy, but I know lots of deals are getting done as well.
I think it's really just looking around and knowing you got a bunch of people going through the same things that you are. Every year is different. No single year has been the same. You may have a good amount of your core players coming back, but for me, it's about relearning each other. It's about relearning the staff, relearning the players. They're all going to be different after these couple of weeks. Our rookies are no longer rookies, you know, and the guys who sign big contracts are different, you know, in our family lives, you know, we're growing, things are happening. And so it's just the excitement of just like figuring out what the 2025 Panthers is going to look like.
I can't wait to see what it looks like. You've got the draft, 8th overall pick. What a tremendous story. And I know that now you're just coming for people's throats. Jalen Walker is on my show on Thursday. Your face looks like you're excited about that. What should I ask him?
I think just ask him about how he impacts his teammates.
Okay.
Every single Georgia Bulldog we talk to, they talk about Jalen Walker. They talk about the accountability, the way that he pulls the whole group together, the way that he plays with his hair on fire and communicates and all those things. And so I think there's just some intangibles about the guy that are really special.
He wants to, you know, he seems like that would be a nice fit.
Yeah, he's right up the road. I mean, you know, this is what is it? Highway, is it 85? You know, super
I don't know,
close. So,
but I know that you pick 8th, and I know there's a lot of connections there, and I just feel like all signs are pointing. Blink if you're drafting Jalen Walker. But he's half blinking. I don't know what that means. We'll be back. Everyone just take a breath. Les has the calmest energy, and everyone's like super frantic. We have to meet. You're in your White Lotus season 3 era right now. You seem very calm.
I hadn't seen season 1 yet.
Les, what do you do? Lift that mic up. What do you do outside of just thinking about football 24 hours a day? Do you have time for other things?
I try to come up with a hobby. I just fail miserably.
What's the other hobby? Potentially. Give me the...
You know, I'm very
pitch
boring,
some.
so I've got to exercise.
Yeah.
So as long as I get that in, then everything else is a bonus.
How much of a bond is the working out with you and Sean McVay, who had another viral clip of him doing some sort of a...
I'm getting jealous of Sean in that I used to feel like I was strong. Now, again, he's got about 15 years on me. But now with him and Witt going and Ryan Sorensen, and I'm kind of more in my own garage doing, you know, new age stuff.
Okay.
I feel really weak.
What's the new age stuff you're doing?
You know, I'm always going to do some version of running, biking, and now I'm going to dabble in the lifting weights.
Okay.
But if I think I mentioned one time on the story, I used to work out with Ryan Sorensen,
Okay.
who Witt hired, trains with them. And it was one of those intense, you go in there 45 minutes. I used to want to throw up doing just warming up with the bands. He would put these bands on. We're doing these ankle walks. And I was like, Ron, you know what? I can't do this. I did that. I can't do it anymore.
Well, you look great. You're feeling great. You have a very cool, low-key vibe to you today. And there's so much to talk to you about. What a big F you since the last time I saw you. Last time I saw you was in L.A. training camp. Everyone's talking about the Niners. Everyone's talking about a rebuild. Why isn't rebuild in your vocabulary? You're doing it wrong.
Well, the number one is we're all competitive. So you're not going to ever say, let's just rebuild. I think, though, reasonably rationally, we did when we, let's call it post Super Bowl. I always called it a remodel because we did have, hey, we had one of the more important players on the team coming back, the QB. How many teams would love to have a bona fide QB? So it wasn't like, oh, we're in that era where our QB just left and now we're looking for the next one. That was probably the most important, probably rational, reasonable reason that we weren't rebuilding. Maybe we were retooling, remodeling.
No, I remember having a card just like this, and it had like San Francisco, and then it had rebuild, then it had whole of Aaron Donald, impossible to fill, and then you went and FU'd everyone again.
You know, Aaron Donald is impossible to fit.
I mean, you did it. You did your thing.
I think I mentioned it. We did. It probably took 5 top 100 picks to replace Aaron Donald. So we did a first rounder for Jared Verse. We did 2 second rounders for Fisk because we traded up. We did a third rounder for Kobe Turner and a third rounder for BY. So it's like 4 players, 5 top 100 picks to replace Aaron Donald.
I think you're giving GMs who rebuild and the culture of rebuilding a bad name. I think you're making it impossible.
You know, I think I mentioned to someone, realistically, sometimes because we were cleaning up, let's call it our salary cap, there is an element in football. We're probably all scared to say, let's intentionally go do that. But when you're forced to, for the long-term, let's call it health, sustainability of the program, you're just forced to. And sometimes you're like, wait a minute, we can do that. But if you would have just sat down and said, let's do it, I think we all get a little nervous and say, you know what, no, let's try to run it back one more year.
Yeah, you're a Super Bowl champion. You're a made man. You have nothing to prove. And we're talking to Sean. I interviewed him at training camp. Talked to you a little bit on the side. But he seemed really motivated by the people are overlooking us. It was visceral. I felt it from him. How big of a part of your story and fuel is that? Or do you feel that at all?
I really don't. I think what ends up happening, it's interesting. I'm not sure the neat thing is we're in the NFL. We're here.
It's pretty neat. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's one of the top entertainment, right? Let's call it industries, game theories, whatever we're doing here. Reality television shows on the planet. But when you do go and show up on a Sunday and play, and they're going to keep score, and right, it's simple math. Whoever has the most points at the end wins the game. I think at that point it doesn't really matter how many people are watching or were at the stadium or who texts you or not or tweets about you after the game. It's really like in that moment when that buzzer, whatever it is, clock goes to 0. There's something about competing at that level that really, really probably turns us all on in a sense.
We are here, and this beauty of the Breakers is behind you. We'll be in another hotspot travel destination in a couple of weeks, Green Bay. You'll be in your war room.
Is that a hotspot?
Is there? I'll be there. Where will you be? Tell me about the bajillion dollar. Like, whose house are we renting out?
You know what? I don't think we've announced it yet.
So
I don't think I better not break it.
Nope. It sounds like a perfect. Give us a hint at least. Come on.
I can't say it is. It is unique to the moment we're in. But I'm not sure when we're announcing.
Are we leveling up from the high expectations I have from years past?
It's going to be cool.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
But then you're going to trade into the second round, right?
Asking questions. You're doing your job.
I'm trying to figure. I just can't believe that you would do back-to-back first-round picks. You haven't done it since Gurley and Goff. Why?
We're picking 26, so it's kind of like do we inch back into that pick 33,
round
34,
up?
35?
Yeah. Is that what
and
we're?
Then you kind of, you know what you. That's a possibility because we don't have that second round.
I don't want to see you draft in the. I love that it's your thing to not do that. I love that that's it. Does that why pick in the first round? It's so uncool.
So uncool.
So uncool. I love when you don't do that. Although last year certainly panned out. You mentioned Matthew Stafford. I like that idea that as long as you have your quarterback, you're not in a rebuild. Like we're here at the owners' meetings, and Mike Tomlin has people 4 deep asking him about their quarterback situation. It must feel so good to have that settled. You talked about it like it was renewing your vows. What did you mean by that?
I think I meant by that when the QB and the NFL franchise partner. I mean, really, to do it right, and especially with someone like Matthew. I mean, he's in the back 9 of his career, right? This isn't his first 5 years. So if you're going to if we're going to partner, we're not just we're not just trying to finish second in the division, right? What is our goals? Key is this: we're chasing special, and there's a lot of stress and drudgery. You know what I mean? Whatever that special is, there's a lot of stress and drudgery in that. So let's try to make sure when we do partner, when we do agree on a contract, and it wasn't like his contract, it was just every year we're renegotiating what he's going to play for. And there's a little bit of friction in all those negotiations, things like, but main thing, when we partner, let's make sure we want to do this together. We want to go partner.
Is that a veteran thing, or is it just your mentality thing?
You know what? I think it was because he was a veteran. Because
right.
if Matthew was in his first, let's call it in the first 6 years of his contract, usually teams aren't trying to determine, do we move on, do we not?
Right.
Other teams really aren't trading. It's not like you're knocking on the door to trade for Josh Allen, because you kind of know the answer. So, but teams were trying to see, hey, were the Rams going to continue partnering with Matthew? Were they not? So I do think because Matthew was at that stage of his career is why the process went down.
Well, partners have a say, you know? When you're a partner with somebody, they can come knock on your door and say, this is what I want.
That's the most important thing. We should want to do this together, not have to do this together because it's a job.
What does he want? What does Matthew want?
You know what? What was really neat is I do think he wanted to be a Ram for a lot of variables. Part of that, one of the main ones, chasing special.
Yeah.
He's done a lot in this NFL.
Devontae Adams is pretty special.
What is that?
Devontae Adams is pretty special.
That's one of the reasons why we go through the let's call it the negotiations to work out a fair deal so that we can, add pieces to the puzzle to help us chase special.
What was the first? Take me back to the first time as Sean McVay makes his way over with Artis. They're going to take that Shepherd's hook and yank you out of here. Don't take him away. What was take me back to the first time Devontae Adams was mentioned?
Sean, we should bring him there
and Sean and Matthew. Did Matthew bring Devontae Adams' name to you? Did Sean? Was it you? Can you take me back to the inception of that idea?
The inception of the idea probably became. I know it was probably the week of the Super Bowl. Sean was at the Super Bowl. I was rejuvenating in Hawaii, I like to call it.
Yeah, rebuilding,
and
remodeling.
Because I'm a competitor, I hate going to the Super Bowl when you're not in it. And most years you're not in it. So just think everybody's jacked about the Super Bowl. I'm miserable that week because it's like. We failed in some sense. So I'm hiding in a shell. But that was the first time, maybe the Jets were going to move on from Devontae. So I know Sean and I talked during that week. Like, maybe that's especially if we continue partnering with Matthew, that'd be a nice piece of the puzzle to add.
So what was Matthew's reaction? Somebody he knows very well from the NFC North. Of course, there's an emotional attachment to Cooper Kupp. You said that this is going to take Sean McVay's offense to even a different level. He can line up everywhere. I think Devontae's in his prime. There's no bigger fan than me. What was Matthew's reaction?
I think he was really, really jacked. And I know Sean likes to sit with his players, walk through, okay, if we bring Devontae on, right, this is what I'm thinking. What do you think? You start thinking about chemistry of the room and how you put all the pieces together and help them work together, collaborate, and let Sean, let's call it, deploy the pieces on the chess table, and Matthew and that group's got to go execute.
Amazing. You're here with all the GMs. It's my first owners meeting. How much business actually gets done here? Les, like a ton?
You know what? There is a ton of business that gets done here, or at least it's executed here, or there's a finality to it here, especially with, let's call it, any rule changes that you're going to make to the game theory, or some of the processes that are part of it. So the competition committee plays a big part. I do think the way this is all evolved is, let's call it, by the time we get to where West Palm, wherever the annual meetings are, about 95% of the business has been put on the table. Now, there is a vote. So there is an element of when we do go vote on something major that it's similar to a Sunday. If you got to get 24 votes to pass something in that room, they haven't brought television in there yet, reality television. I do think that would be a big sale.
Oh my God,
there is some nice reality going on in that room.
Give me the pitch. We're in the pitch meeting. I'm the production company. You're trying to get me the green light. Give me a story that
just
you
like
pitch.
Reality television. You may see. Let's just say there's going to be a close vote. So usually there's those that are pro, and then there's those that are not pro, dissent, against, whatever, for, against. However we're going to say this. So there's this element where, wow, all of a sudden, someone like Andy Reid or Pete Carroll, one of these pillars that we've been watching on Sundays forever, and maybe they get up and they're pitted against each other.
Ooh, I love this.
One's for, one's not, and they do a passionate debate.
Did that happen yesterday?
And then there's that usually happens on let's call it the Tuesday morning.
Yeah, I think we need to strap a GoPro to everyone's
head. The thing
head.
is, there's some sessions where you can kind of spar before then. Get some of the real energy.
And then the majority pushes it into the end zone, and we change the rule.
That'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to hear the debate on the tush.
Last one for you. You have to get rid of one. The Yankees bat situation or the tush push? Which
I think here's what I would say about the tush push. I really respect the fact that it started with Philly. I mean, I wonder if it started with Malaga bringing that scrum from rugby over here. And then the Bills. Point being is they came up with something really, really hard to stop. The only reason we should get rid of the tush push is if there is data that it puts players in, let's call it more harm than normal. And I do think at that point, you have to think long term.
Artist is yanking ya. Famous artist Twyman.
We were rolling Artist.
Who else are you talking to, Les? Come on now.
You know what? Artist has a nice schedule.
Yeah, I know. He's yanking.
It won't be as fun as this one,
I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much. You got to work on renewing your vows with Puka, who said he'd retire at 30. I don't like hearing that.
Wow, you know what? They're like these Gen Z's like rock stars now. You know what? They one hit and let's retire.
Amazing. Great to see you. I hope to be part of the reality show tonight here. It's my first owner meeting, but I feel like,
I can't believe
I'm going to come spice it up.
You've worked, you did a television show with the NFL
I never get to go in the field.
Forever.
Why wouldn't I want to melt like a snowman out here? Why not, McVay's over there. Go bother McVay and Florio. With Eliot Wolf, I want to get this right. Executive Vice President of Player Personnel. More importantly, if you could go back in time and add that second L to Eliot, would you?
No, it was my mother's choice, and I'm not going to go against her.
Oh, my gosh. I love this. We were just talking about it's the fact that it's our rookie experience here. Neither of us have ever been to owner meetings, except I find that hard to believe with your dad. I'm sure you've been in that pool over here at the Breakers once or twice.
Yeah, I was a family member that came here. So about 25 years ago, I was here at the Breakers and, just kind of taking on all the social events on the side.
What does it feel like to be here? If you could describe, maybe out of 100 slices of pie, how much is business, how much is pleasure?
It's been all business so far. Very little pleasure. We're all about the work here. I haven't even seen the pool yet, which is unfortunate, but we're here just kind of taking in all the meetings and trying to do what's best for the league.
What a big swing offseason. League schmeek. Let's talk about the Patriots here. You got the 4th overall pick. You reel in Stephon Diggs on the same day that I asked Drake May while he was golfing. I said, "Are you recruiting players?" I asked him at the Super Bowl. What went into making that choice, and why do you think he'll be such a good fit?
Yeah, Stephon's obviously someone that I've admired for a long time, playing for the Vikings when I was in Green Bay and, being unable to really contain him too much. And then, against, when he was in Buffalo. So he became available. Some things came together. We met with him. It was a phenomenal dinner meeting with him. And then the next day at the facility.
Where'd you guys go?
We went to Davio's in Patriot Place.
Davio's.
A little shout out to Davio's.
What was the order? What was his order? Do you remember?
I don't remember, no.
What are you trying to pick up from him in a meeting like that? You're saying you know what a great player he is, right? From an X's and O's perspective, of course, in the NFC North all that time. When you're having a dinner, what kind of questions, what kind of vibe, what are the questions you're asking yourself that you want answered when you're leaving a dinner like that? Yeah,
it was pretty casual. There weren't any really specific questions. We got into what he was looking for, what we're looking for. It's really just about the fit and, really seeing the authenticity of the player. And he's a great guy and he knows what he wants and he's a competitor. So all those things, fit together for us to make it happen.
He's a really intense player. Drake May, to me, highly competitive, but sort of chill. Sort of, how will that work? What do you expect that dynamic to be?
Yeah, Drake's maybe chill off the field. Like on the field, he's pretty locked in. So I think it's going to be a really good marriage.
Can I tell you that there were 72 players golfing in the NFLPA Golf Classic in Mayakoba last week? I was welcome there to sort of watch everything going on. Drake May did not have a great golf day, and I've never seen a more competitive, dejected. He could not. We're in Mayakoba. We're in Mexico. Everyone's having a good time. He was not performing to his standard, and it was stunning how he stood out from everybody in that competitive way.
Yeah, that surprises me to hear because I've heard he's a really good golfer. I've never seen him play, but you know, we'll have to have a
But the
conversation
temperament,
about
like
that.
he's a
definitely
nut
competitive.
job. Like he's a
Anything.
maniac.
Ping pong, you know, darts, anything. Like he's a real competitor.
What's sexier? Stephon Diggs with Travis Hunter or Christian Gonzalez with Travis Hunter?
That's a great question, and I think you know, if he's available, which is a huge question mark, that'll be up to the coaching staff to determine, you know, where he's going to fit in, and also if we would even pick him.
A lot of questions. Nothing surprising about there being lots of questions about the Patriots. You're holding it close to the vest. I love that. A lot of discussion about even Stephon Diggs' role. You bring him in, an elite player, and congratulations on that. I think it's huge and I think it's amazing. Where do you expect him to play? Slot?
You know, one of the things we like about Stephon and even in Josh McDaniels' offense is just his versatility. He can play inside, he can play outside, he can move around, he's smart, he can play all three spots, he's competitive, he can beat press coverage, he can beat off coverage, he's good against zone. So, you know, again, that was just one of the things that, you know, his versatility was something that we look to add him to the team.
Versatility. Interesting. Maybe not so exclusive in the slot. Maybe versatility is a big thing with the Patriots if Travis Hunter is available there at 4. The draft being in Green Bay, does that do anything to you, Mr. What is it, Notre Dame? Let me get this right. Graduate from Notre Dame Academy, Wisconsin,
Titans, yep.
in 2000. Of course, you spent time with the Packers, your dad, the whole thing. Is it special?
Yeah, I think it's really cool that, you know, I think it's the 100th draft and it's there in Green Bay, so I think it's going to be great for the community. And, yeah, I don't know if they're going to have the hotel capacity, but I'm sure they're going to work something out.
Oh, no, I'm in a tent. I'm in a, you know how like everybody lets you park on their lawns before games? I think they're just like selling space.
Yeah, that's
and
perfect.
real estate for tents. And then they'll give you beers. They'll let you like use their laundry machine. Like
They'll definitely give you beers.
there's nothing like the people of the Midwest. What about this fan base? These fans that they've known greatness for so long. It's such a fascinating dynamic. You were around it. You know it. What do you want them to know as we sit here at the Breakers ahead of this next season?
Yeah, I'm just really encouraged. I think Patriots fans are in store for some good things with Coach Vrabel and all the players that we've brought in, and we're definitely getting this thing in the right direction.
Speaking of intense, Vrabel, what's the first thing he did when he got in that building? Back in that building, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, it was really cool. He came over to the scouting area and was just watching film with us and meeting with the scouts and getting to know everyone. That's a really big thing, you know, just culturally, that he's wanting to see what everyone's about and, you know, working together to get this thing righted.
I got to tell you, I really wanted y'all to have Ronnie Stanley. I was politicking. I was using all my little tricks. Were you guys interested in him?
He was never actually available because he signed with Baltimore before it started.
Yeah,
but
there we go.
If he had become available on Monday, then he might have been someone that we would have talked to.
I'm trying to think of what else we want to ask you, Eliot. You don't want the other L. You answered that perfectly. We've got the 4th overall pick. We're right here, and that's great. Oh, can we talk about the anti-hate pins?
Yeah, the FCAS, yeah.
Yes. Why it's important, why you're wearing the pin. I have mine on.
Yeah, this is Mr. Kraft's initiative, and it's just anti-hate, anti-Semitism, and it's really something that we support wholeheartedly.
Amazing. And we will be back after this. We've got more GMs popping by. You're a rookie. Is there hazing?
There hasn't been yet, but I was warned that there might be.
Who do you think would be the instigator of that? Who's the GM that would
Yeah, just my probably John Schneider from the Seahawks.
Really?
I've known him for the longest, so I think he would instigate some stuff.
That was a deep pull I was not expecting. We will be back here on Up and Adams after this. 4th overall pick. We'll see who they take. Here with Chris Ballard, the GM of the Indianapolis Colts. We've got palm leaves and fans to help you out. Thank you for coming out here. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
You are so wonderful, but if I didn't know you, I would really name you the most intimidating GM in the National Football League. Do you think you are?
I think I'm pretty easy to deal with.
I feel like you're direct and honest, and that intimidates people, no?
I don't think it intimidates. I mean, I think, look, if you ask a question, I'm going to give the answer, at least from my perspective and what I think. Doesn't mean it's always right, but you're going to get the answer I think it is.
This is my first owner meeting. You've been to so many. Give me your best advice on how to take it all in.
It can be a little overwhelming, but be you.
Be me.
I think I told you that a few years ago.
You
be
did.
you.
Hey, cheers.
Be you.
It worked out. Good tone, evaluator over here. Let's rip the Band-Aid off with this Daniel Jones news. Happy to have him. Used to be a regular guest on my show. A lot of people are saying he's coming in for competition. I think you've said some things. I think people are looking at this, Chris, as a bad thing. I think it's a good thing.
I think it's a great thing. I think anytime you can have competition at any position, because it's the quarterback, everybody's going to scrutinize it to the 100th degree. But I think the competition, because the skill sets are similar, they're both good dudes. I think they're going to make each other not only on the field, but in the meeting room. I think they're going to make each other better. And I think that's going to be great for both of them and for our team.
What would be success for you? Somebody popping off the page, either one of them, or do you have a master plan in that brain of yours?
Look, success to me is the team winning. That to me is the success. I want them both to do great, but success is the team winning.
I don't think people understand how young Anthony Richardson still is. He's such a young player.
Yeah.
I feel like there has to be another level to his game. Is there something you're specifically looking at that you need to see out of him to win that job?
Yeah, I mean, look, I've talked about some other media members here this morning about kind of what's going on in the league and the lack of patience and the quarterback carousel that you're seeing.
Crazy.
I mean, you're seeing guys go on their second, third, fourth team, and they're being successful. And we're not, and especially with young quarterbacks, we want them to be superstars right away, and that's not always the case. So with Anthony, knowing that, you don't have to fan me, knowing with Anthony.
You are so quick, Chris, it's crazy.
And knowing Anthony and knowing how young he was and the lack of experience, and what he's gained so far and what he's going to gain going forward, we still think there's major upside. When that happens, I'm not Nostradamus in that way, but we think it'll happen eventually.
I keep reading culture shift, being more aggressive. You're pretty aggressive. You went out and got Daniel Jones. Congrats on Cam Bynum. I love that as well. You're adding everywhere. You got the draft ahead of you. Is there a culture shift? What's to that?
I mean, look, because we went and spent in free agency. I mean, I look back on it, and look, our mantra the whole time has been to pay our own guys. And we've done a really good job of that. We've drafted some really good players, and we've taken care of our own guys. And I look back, and like in 20, we traded for DeForest Buckner. We signed Phillip Rivers, who both were high-level free agents. Not every move we've made in these situations have worked out. I don't necessarily say it's a culture shift, but it's one, especially in the secondary, that I thought we needed to make.
Yeah.
And then getting competition at quarterback's another one.
I mean, so you've nailed it so far. You got the 14th overall pick, but let's take a look at these moves that you've made here. When you look at this list, what is the position group that you're getting that Chris Ballard itch? Let me go address that.
Well, look, we're happy with the additions of Ward and Bynum.
Let's go.
Two veterans in our secondary that we think are really going to help us. Daniel Jones, we've talked about. I think a little bit underrated is Neville Gallimore, who we thought had who's still a young player and had a pretty good season in LA. We think he'll add to our defensive line. Corey Ballantyne's a fun player to watch. We've always kind of liked him, and we think he can fill a role, as can Herbert. And we've been following Herbert. We liked him out of Virginia Tech and like what he did in Chicago. So it'll be fun to watch.
You drafted Jonathan Taylor, I think the perfect player. Until I saw this morning, I forgot that you drafted Matt Forte, another perfect player. My favorite player in the NFL. So I wish you nothing but luck here with the 14th pick. Thank you for coming all the way out here to hang out for a little bit. And thank you for your words always. Good luck.
Appreciate it.
Good luck with that quarterback competition. Let's go.
Thank you.